Good morning and welcome to the Bout Some Football podcast. I will be going over a quick recap of the Super Wildcard Weekend, starting off with the first game on Saturday, which was the Indianapolis Colts at Buffalo against the Bills. Now, Buffalo was allowed 6,700 fans. If you were watching the game, you could hear them. They're pretty loud. It sounded like 50,000 out there, but that's just Bills Mafia. Let's just check out a quick little stat line right now. Josh Allen, 26 for 35, threw 324 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and 74% completion rate. It's pretty high, especially compared to his last year's playoff game against Houston. He's had a big improvement so far this year, definitely MVP caliber year. Rushing wise, put up 54 rushing yards and also a rushing touchdown, so was able to get it done both through the air and on the ground. Now, quick little fact that Josh Allen actually became the first quarterback for the Bills to ever throw 300 passing yards, 70% completion rate, and 0 interceptions in a playoff game. Honestly, really surprising with a Hall of Famer like Jim Kelly, who ended up playing for them all 4 years that they went for the Super Bowl, number one. But he did play in a bunch of playoff games because of the consecutive years. Stephon Diggs came out, showed out. He always does in the playoffs, always did with the Vikings, Minneapolis Miracle and stuff. 120 reception yards on 6 receptions, and also a touchdown, which was that 36-yard touchdown that, although it didn't really ice the game, he called it the game winner. Colts were never able to rebound off of that. Now let's take a look at the Colts side. It wasn't really a horrible game. Phillip Rivers didn't have too bad of a game. It was 309 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, no fumbles. I mean, 39-year-old quarterback to come in for a 1-year rental. I thought he did a pretty good job this year in general, but also just in the playoffs. I thought he had some accurate throws, some inaccurate throws. I think it was 27 for 46 total. Now, the one surprise for me was Jonathan Taylor. Rushed him 21 times, only ran for 78 yards. Had a touchdown, but it was only from about 2 yards out. Average yards per carry came out at 3.7. This year, he actually had an average over the season of about 5 yards. That ranks him top 10 in the league. It's just a rough day for him. I thought Naheem Hines was doing much better rushing wise. He was much more of a home run hitter. He had like a 220 plus yard rushes. I would have went with him after about 15 rushes, but JT didn't really go anywhere. Colts offense, I thought they moved the ball really well, and I thought for Leslie Frazier's defense, the defensive coordinator for the Bills, I thought this year he did a really good job, but then I felt Colts wide receivers were just getting open, especially at that second level with the linebackers, and you have Matt Milano out there for the Bills, who is one of the best coverage linebackers, at least in the NFL. I just didn't think he was doing too good of a job out there, especially covering people like Jack Doyle and Pascal, the wide receiver for the Colts. And here's the only problem with that Colts offense was in the first half, 7 of their 8 possessions finished within the Bills' territory. The only one that didn't was when they knelt the ball to end the half. I think that was around their own 35-yard line to get into halftime. They were only able to put up 10 points. Now, they had drives finish on the 2-yard line when they turned the ball over, or that was rather the 4-yard line when they turned the ball over. They had to kick 2 field goals, one from 30 yards, one from 33 yards. And they had drives finish on the Bills' 41 where they punted, drives I think the 38 where they punted too. It was just a rough outing. I mean, their offense looked good other than being able to finish drives, and it's really important in the playoffs. What I actually want to look at is the biggest play for me was that failed 4th down conversion by Frank Reich. They decided to go for it. I think it was 4th and 4, but before we look at that play, I want to take a look at the play before, which was actually a pitch play to Jonathan Taylor on the 2-yard line. They tried to go left. They had one wide receiver blocking out there. I'm not sure. It was probably Michael Pittman Jr., big body. They had they got Pro Bowlers and all Pro guard Quentin Nelson and Pro Bowler Ryan Kelly right up front, right guard center. I don't get why you just don't run it in the 2-gap. Just run a zone with Jonathan Taylor. I mean, he's a power back. He's going to get through there. They'll be able to split a hole. He just needs at least 1 yard. At least give him a chance to at least Jacoby Brissett go on a QB sneak or something. Instead, they run a pitch play to Jordan Poyer and Tre'Davious Whiteside. He gets blown up 2 yards behind the line. Then you're in a 4th and 4. I personally really like the play, at least the 4th down play. Bills got a lot of pressure, though, so it didn't really help Phillip Rivers out, who ended up overthrowing Michael Pittman's crosser route. The Colts decided to run T.Y. Hilton and Jack Doyle also on a slant from left side to the right, and you had Michael Pittman pretty much open in the corner on that crosser. Overthrown, sucks. But it wasn't any surprise they went for it on 4th down. Colts finished 11th in the league this year on 4th down conversions, going 16 for 26. Right about 60%. I think it's about 61%. But I just thought that 3rd down play was really dumb. You got Ryan Kelly, Quentin Nelson, and even if you have to, you can pull over your tight end to come up and make a quick little power block on one of the defensive ends pulling in. Now, the one thing that surprised me was Rodrigo Blankenship's miss kick. That was from 33, I believe. Yeah, missed from 33 and had a. Sorry, I have a stat sheet on the left side that I'm looking at. So missed from 33, but hit a 30-yarder. Now this year, within the 50-yard line, he was. That's one thing he's well known for, was being accurate within 50. Get past that, his leg strength kind of cuts out, and he kicks a lot short, but the majority of his kicks are right down the middle. So he went 31 for 34 this year. I think that ranked 7th in the league for inside the 50-yard line. But that miss from 33, that ties the game, and you can send it at least to overtime. I mean, if they would have kicked the field goal when they're on the 4-yard line, you win. But I mean, it's Vision's 2020. I think Frank Wright said that in an interview after. You can't go back now and change it. Now let's look at the Bills' offense. On the other hand, first half wasn't really too impressive, but you can't really blame them on them. Their average starting field possession was their own 7-yard line. I thought that was an incredible job by the Indianapolis Colts special teams, pinning them, punting-wise, pinning them on the 3-yard line, the 7-yard line, the 4-yard line. Especially, I mean, that first drive was on the 1-yard line. The Bills just, Sean McDermott doesn't have a lot of options like to run, at least plays-wise. You don't want to give up a safety. You don't want to get sacked. Especially don't want to fumble in the end zone. And especially with a mobile quarterback like Josh Allen, he gets out of the pocket, doesn't hear someone come behind him. A lot of disasters could occur, so you kind of just have to get your way out of your own end zone, see what you can do. But they weren't really able to do that in the first half. Second half, average field possession was around the 25-yard line, so they were able to get cooking. Let's look at the end of the game. Colts go down. Catch by Pascal. Obviously a fumble. Jordan Poyer didn't even get his hand on him till his knee was up. And honestly, that replay was incredibly obvious. Excuse me, but Jordan Poyer's left hand came down before his right hand touched the ball. His left hand went on Pascal's back way after his knee was up. I mean, there was a split frame that they paused on television that it was so obvious that his knee was up and he was starting to move. Should have been a fumble, easily recovered by Bills. Game's over. But something the NFL actually does often is their call stands. They take a cowardly way out. Don't want to end the game because if it's a reverse call, all the Colts fans are going to be angry. You don't get at least a chance at a Hail Mary or something, bring in the views. I don't know, but and obviously we weren't going to confirm the call because it was obviously a fumble, but call stands, happens. So Colts couldn't convert. They had a few plays. Phillip Rivers, one was out of bounds on purpose, tried to get another play, but the other one just threw out of bounds. Like I think he overthrew T.Y. Hilton by like 8 yards out of bounds. That was rough. And then you don't bring in Jacoby Brissett, which I thought was stupid. I mean, 11 years younger than Phillip Rivers. He's got much more of an arm, at least remaining. Phillip Rivers didn't even make it to the end zone, landed right around the 3-yard line. I just don't get it. They did it in season. They brought in Jacoby Brissett for Hail Marys to end halftime. It went down. Bills didn't get Hail Mary on them twice in one season, so that's obviously good. The Hail Mary from, I think it was week 7 for the Cardinals was rough way for the Bills to take their second loss of the season. I honestly thought it was going to be much more of a blowout. I thought the Colts put up a really good fight. You get them a quarterback like Carson Wentz, Matthew Stafford. I know a lot of people don't like Carson Wentz. I think he's a great prospect. 2017 had an incredible season, MVP caliber, and then it's just been downhill since then. Get him with Frank Reich again, his offense coordinator from the Eagles, and I think you got yourself a team as somebody who can make a deep playoff run. Bills, other hand, obviously they're really good, shown all year, other than like their Titans game when they lost 42-16. Other than that game, I mean, they lost to the reigning Super Bowl champions and a Hail Mary. They played great all year. They're going to go on. They got Baltimore, the team I'm a fan of. I think it'll be a really good game. People are making a whole big thing out of it. It's supposedly snow on Saturday night. It's less than 1 inch, and it's 40%. Don't expect it. But in Buffalo again, they'll have fans. They'll be loud. Expect a good game. I'd say, biased-wise, I'd go Ravens 35, Bills 31. Non-biased, Bills 38, Ravens 34.